we charge the annual management fee, which does differ depending on the fund. So the lower risk funds would have a lower cost involved, simply because it'd be unfair to charge someone 3%, but they're only getting 1% returns a year. There's also not a lot of work involved compared to a higher risk fund like an equity fund. So there's a lot more research that goes into it, and also a lot more activity in the equity growth fund. The reason being that those assets are more volatile, so we have to be slightly more on top of the day-to-day workings. For the lower risk stuff, it's, we wouldn't charge that much, because generally it wouldn't really be fair to expect someone to pay that kind of money.
Gotcha.
But mutual funds would be the first thing to look at. We have other options. We have totally discretionary portfolios for clients who maybe want something that's totally personalized to them, and very bespoke. If someone had a significant amount of investment capital, it wouldn't really be the right way to go just doing one investment strategy. There may be more things involved, and they may have multiple goals. It could be, I want to retire in 5 years, but I also want to leave money behind for my kids and my grandkids. So they're two different goals with two different time horizons. So we can put together a totally bespoke investment portfolio managed by the team in Bermuda that is specific to them as well. So there'll be discretionary and investment management, where it is a portfolio managed just for them. We also offer brokerage services as well for some clients. So if clients wanted to explore their own investment ideas, they think that certain sectors are really interesting, and they're very convicted in that, and they don't really need the advice as such. And we are able to offer those execution services for those clients as well. So if someone is a professional client and they know exactly what they want to buy, they may just want to use our platform and our custodian services, then we can also provide that to them.
Okay. I want to go into the volatility of the U.S. markets that's happening right now.
Always fun.
So, we've been hearing a lot about it in the news, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought the stock market in the past month has crashed maybe twice, the U.S. stock market.
Yeah, crash, I wouldn't say crash. There's been a correction, we would typically call it. At the end of the day, the stock market shouldn't go up every day, because to me that's a very unhealthy sign. That speaks of a bubble more than anything. But a healthy market, 5% pullbacks here and there are a sign of a functioning market, because there's constantly there's new data that comes out every day that impacts the price of every asset. There's information that comes out that impacts the price of the value of currencies, which then also impacts the price of assets. So it's all data driven generally. But recently there's been volatility. I think a lot of it has came from Donald Trump's second term in the Oval Office, and also some weakening signs of economic growth in the US.
Right.
I think we had an incredible year last year. So it was over 20% returns in the US stock market. Which is an incredible year. We did have a couple of down years before, with the Ukraine war and also COVID as well. So there has been, some pretty scary moments in the markets over the last few years. And this is no different. It's just not, I would say it's probably not as bad, obviously, as some of those things. But, volatility breeds opportunity in the market. A lot of these companies that have went down in value are actually very good companies. Microsoft, Apple, Palantir, for example. A lot of these are great companies. So on the one hand, you can think, oh, the volatility it's scary, and this is not a good time to invest. But realistically, you should be looking at it as an opportunity. These are strong companies with very strong balance sheets. There's a lot of this volatility is driven by politics in the US, global instability, and maybe some macroeconomic factors. But underneath the hood, the actual companies themselves are very well positioned. So maybe I always think it's good to take a step back when you're looking at it. If you have a portfolio at the moment, or if any of the listeners has a portfolio and they've looked at it today and they think, oh God, what's going on?
Yeah.
The important thing to do is take a step back and remember the reasons why you've actually invested. So there is a goal. There's a real life human goal at the end of that, which is I want to retire early, or want to leave money behind for my kids. So take a step back and think, well, how can I best optimize this at the moment through this volatility to actually maybe achieve that goal earlier than I thought?
Is there any, I guess, sectors or industries that you would advise your investors to approach with caution right now in relation to the U.S. stock market?
Yeah, I mean, I think sectors. There's every sector. It's pretty broad, but every sector will have some diamonds in it, no matter what. There's companies that are within the AI space at the moment have had a pretty massive run over the last 6 months. So maybe approach that with a little bit of caution, but that's not to say don't buy it. If we've had Nvidia has had a pretty healthy pullback recently, it's still an absolutely incredible company, and it's at the forefront of the next stage of human and tech revolution. So yes, there is some caution that should be exercised with all sectors at the moment.
It's interesting that you say AI maybe to be a little cautious with, because I think it was yesterday, and I'd noted this in my notes.
Yeah.
But Apple announced a $500 billion investment over the next 4 years in tech, and largely with AI.
Yeah.
So you would think, I would think, okay, maybe that's an industry I should invest in.
Yeah. Yeah, it is an interesting one. I mean, there's that old saying, buy the rumors, sell the news. So, at the end of the day, Apple's an incredible company. There's no doubt about it. And I think their dedication to the US market is something that shouldn't be, forgotten easily. $500 billion is not a small amount of money by any stretch of the imagination. There's, whether or not that is a new plan that's just been put in place, or it's something that they've been working on for the last few years, and it's already kind of taken into account in their financials is a different question. But a good way to approach it is it's a healthy company, it's a strong sector, and it's not a sector that's going to go away anytime soon. You don't have to go all in today. You don't have to say, oh, today's the best day to buy this. I always exercise caution even in the healthiest markets. There's no rush. You might have 20 years ahead of you, 30 years before you actually want to liquidate maybe or start drawing income from your portfolio. So, it can be exciting, the stock market, but the best thing to do is, try and not be excited, try and calm down and maybe buy into the market on a monthly basis, once a quarter maybe, because there's no chance that Apple is going to go away in the next 20 years.
I mean, I'm not going to give away my age now, but a long time ago, over 20 years ago, maybe 25-ish years ago, Apple was like the first computer that I got. So that's a company that I just always focused on and believed in. And then to see their growth has been crazy to me. So I wish a long time ago that I had that foresight to be like, okay, maybe this is where you can start investing. So there's that. Joel, I want to know if you have any thoughts to add. I know your throat's not feeling the best, so you've been trying to minimize what you have to say here, but I also know that you got to go soon. So if there's anything that you want to add when we're looking at the U.S. stock market and how you would maybe advise people, okay, be cautious or look into this, what would your advice be?
Cautiously optimistic. Everything Paul said is on point. The thing is, I'm sorry, it does boil down to what the individual, whether it's an individual, corporation, or trust that we're helping. We design a portfolio, we put assets in that portfolio, we monitor them. More importantly, we rebalance them depending on the client's risk objectives and what they're looking to do. So volatility, it's more concerning if you're like a short-term trader. It is a trader's best friend, volatility. But we try to offer the picture of long-term, because that's what people should be focused on. Whether you're 20 and starting out, whether you're 40 and getting started, it doesn't matter. It's never too early, it's never too late. Keep your eyes on the big picture, on your plan, be disciplined. So irrespective whether we're trading in Canadian markets, US markets, UK, it's really no different. And the difference is going to be there's more volume in the US market. It's definitely more attractive for growth. And tech has dominated in the market for years. So I don't think people should shy away from tech necessarily, but be cautious with what you do. Speak to an advisor. Understand the products, understand the risk, understand the reward, because the reward is rewarding. You know what I mean? And that's what we aim to do. whether we're doing 20, 30, 40%, whether we're doubling your capital in as short as time as possible, we're doing the things reasonably.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. We got to go to a commercial break right now, but when we come back, we're going to wrap up. We got to hear about LOM Blue. All right. So we're going to hear about that when we return from the commercial break.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Hey Cayman parents, we get it. You're underslept, over-trafficked, you can barely find your sanity in the morning because you're still trying to find your kids' shoes and lunch boxes. Let Yum take some of the stress away. Every day, over 3,000 students enjoy delicious, nutritious meals from Yum. Over 5 million lunches served and counting. Private school parents? Browse the Yum Cayman app and order up to a month in advance or last minute by 12 a.m. the night before. Government school students? Just drop by the Yum canteen. No pre-orders needed. Yum can't help you find your sanity, but we can sure make your mornings just a bit easier. Check out daily menus at myschoolpos.com or visit yumcayman.ky to learn more.
The Cayman Islands Agriculture Society presents Roots Rock Reggae with reggae superstar Taras Riley live in concert at the Agriculture Fairgrounds on Saturday, March 1st, alongside Mr. Notch and Local Motion 345, Sugar Daddy, Sound Revolution, and more. It's Roots Rock Reggae going down Saturday, March 1st at the Agriculture Fairgrounds. General admission tickets only $45 and VIP $65 with access to the raised viewing platform. Purchase your tickets now at eventpro.ky. Roots Rock Reggae is brought to you by the Ministry of Planning, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure, Cayman Distributors, Coca-Cola, and Cayman Airways.
Attention all residents of Savannah and surrounding areas. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman PACE Committee invites you all to their prostate and colon cancer awareness meeting on Thursday, February 27th at the Savannah United Church, starting at 7 p.m. Guest speakers are Dr. David and Dr. Mubin from Grand Harbor Medical, who will be discussing colon and prostate cancer diagnosis, treatment, and prevention. Men, come out and get your PSA test done for free. Remember, early detection saves lives. Refreshments will be served.
The Business Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Business Buzz.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and in studio from LOM Financial, we have investment advisors Joelle Bodden and Paul Henry. We have less than 10 minutes to go, and there's a few things to talk about. But I want to go just coming right during the break. You know, there's always stuff said during the break, and Joelle, I'm going to kind of put you in the hot spot right there because we were talking about we were talking about how much you have to have really to start investing with LOM.
Well, I like pressure.
Okay, all right. Well, so do I sometimes.
Yeah, so our minimums are $25,000 just off the bat to essentially design a portfolio. What that looks like, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to take that $25,000 and invest it in a particular item. You could technically put $25,000 into cash or into a money market fund and let it sit there if you want very, very safer risk profile. Now, we do have other products that are on the lower level to get started. It's LOM Blue. Paul's going to speak about that in a minute. So yeah, just to keep that in mind.
But for like a regular individual like me, I don't have 25 grand to just throw out there. You were talking about a different institution, for example, that if you're waiting for, I mean, maybe you don't want to get into that. He just gave me a look. Everyone. You don't have to name the institution at all. But the example, if you were waiting on, I guess, is it your returns? That might be a few percent.
Yeah, I mean, generally, like banks, again, not singling anyone out, but you're not really making money at banks. This isn't a secret. A lot of people know you got funds sitting in a savings account or even a term deposit. Like, compared to what you would have in a portfolio, it's incomparable, right? Then you have other institutions that wait a certain time of the year to announce that they're paying X, Y, and Z. Why do that when you can take your funds in a portfolio and lock it into a fixed income investment where you're getting that? You don't have to wait to be told for an announcement on how well someone's done for you to get something on your money. Your money sitting at banks is constantly at work. So in my opinion, take your funds and work them yourself.
Okay. All right. You do like pressure.
Appetite for it.
Understood.
Yeah.
All right. LOM Blue, let's get into that, because that's one of the lower kind of investment options people like me might be interested in.
I think it's pretty exciting proposition, and there's nothing like it on the island at the moment. What I've noticed, and I think even our market research has shown, a lot of people here, not just within the expat community, but within the local Caymanian community, they may have high levels of income, but they may spend a lot, or they may just not have the 25,000 minimum. Some people may not be comfortable having that money set aside as well, which is another thing. But LOM Blue is a new product that we're launching. Essentially, it's getting people to invest on a monthly basis. $500 US is the minimum, and you get to invest in our mutual funds. So whenever you go on the website, you can apply on the website for an LOM Blue account, and you put in some information around what your objectives are, what your risk profile is, what expected returns you want to see, and our system will essentially put forward the best portfolio for you, and you can invest into that on a monthly basis.
Okay.
And it's $500 minimum. It's all online.
One-time fee?
So there's no fee as such. That's what you're actually investing in the mutual fund.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do $500 a month, and at the end of the year, you'll have $6,000 there plus whatever returns you may have got. The whole idea is, it's low cost investing with no high fees or barriers to entry like the 25,000 is. With LOM Blue, it is automated, so you wouldn't get access to one of the advisors like myself and Joel and Lewis.
Unless we know you, and I can just call you and be like, "Oh man, come on, help me out."
Yeah, well, that's always an option. It is a trial at the moment, so it is. There is some overlap with the advisory service. So for people who are getting started, they can reach out to us, and I can obviously help them out and explain how it works. But that's the next step for us is try to get as many people thinking about their future and actually investing something that's affordable. Hopefully most people are lucky enough to be in a position to actually afford $500 a month. But even if you're not, get to a point where you may be and have a conversation with us. We can always set something up for you.
And that's US dollars, you said. So
US.
We're looking at that's 400 CI.
Yeah.
And I mean, some people are in the position, some people aren't. But let's say we are going to do it, something like that. What could we? I mean, roughly, if you could even say, what could we be looking at to make in returns?
So it's quite hard to say, but what I can say is the monthly amount that you invest will go into a blend of the mutual funds that we run, and historically their returns would differ depending on what risk profile it is. So if it's lower risk investments, you could probably see between 4 to 5%. If it's higher risk, the average, I would probably be comfortable saying 10 to 11% if you're on the high end risk scale. Some years we've done a lot better than that. Our equity growth fund, I think, did about 20% last year.
Wow.
But at the end of the day, you can't expect that every year.
Right.
Just like we've been saying recently with volatility, I'd be pretty surprised if we've seen 20 or 30% returns this year. I'd be pretty happy with 8 or 9 this year from the US stock market. But that's something to take into consideration when looking at these investments.
Okay. Well, we only got about a minute left here, a couple minutes left. So I also want to hear, we're going to wrap with knowing your contact details, how people can find out more. But LOM is also involved in supporting the Cayman community. So if you can give us a summary on what that involvement is.
Yeah, totally. So our brand purpose is marine conservation, which I think is very important considering we're an island.
I love that.
It was the same in Jersey. So I'm involved with the Central Caribbean Marine Institution, CCMI. we've done a few beach cleanups with them as well, and also went to the gala to raise funds. It's been 2 or 3 years with CCMI, and previous to that was the Guy Harvey Foundation. And we try to move, the charity money that we raise for them around every few years, just to ensure that we're getting a broad spectrum of the different companies or different charities here that need to be sponsored.
I love that. CCMI and Guy Harvey are both doing incredible things.
They totally are. We did a beach cleanup, and I think we got the full force of Caymanian weather at that time. So it was like sunny, and then it was like torrential rain. And picking up plastic in the torrential rain it's a very humanizing experience, I think. Another thing is we sponsor, a bit of a personal shout out, but I'm Irish, so we sponsor one of the teams in the Gaelic football corporate tournament, so it's the Western Gaels, so shout out to Cahill and Niall, but we actually sponsor that team as well, and I think obviously it's a bit maybe I wouldn't say selfish, but personal for me being Irish. It's great to have such a large Irish community here, and also the fact that we give back is a really great thing.
Awesome. Wonderful. Contact details. How do people get in touch with LOM Financial?
Yeah. So a couple of different ways. You can walk into our brand new office in Camana Bay. We're next door to Cask, the whiskey bar. There's also another joke in there about me being Irish and working next to a whiskey bar. I'm not going to say it. So you can walk into the brand new office. It's facing the Health City Clinic and next door to Cask in Camana Bay. You can go on our website, lom.com. Or you can give us a call on 233-0100 and we'll be happy to help.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks so much for joining me this morning on the Business Buzz. It was great to have both you and Joelle, and I will be back with our listeners on Thursday on the Business Buzz.
The Business Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And by Yum. Daily school lunch menus are available to browse on the Yum website. Just visit yumcayman.ky for more info.
If they are talking about us,
living in your head rent-free all this time,
we must be relevant. Radio